Metaverse, a social media for a brighter future. So, before we get into it, I set this slide so you know what you're getting into. First, we're going to cover what are the goals of Metaverse and why do they matter. What issues have you come across during the development of Metaverse? And finally, what will this platform look like? So this is a lot. Feel free to pause this. This is taken from my website. You can find it at metaversedev.wordpress.com. However, tabletop role-playing games have seen a huge growth. This is a lot of the research that I've put into how Metaverse works. Now I've cut some stuff out and modified it a bit, but that's the basis of Metaverse. Build a social media platform that is truly privacy first. That's my first goal. Then, provide game masters a tool to aggregate their source materials, and finally, optimize the platform so that everyone is a creator feeding creators. But why is that important, and what steps have I taken towards that? So, why it's important? Most social media platforms tend to exploit their users for the sole sake of immediate profits. Think of Facebook's treatment of their users. Think of think of Facebook's treatment of their users. And game masters usually use a ton of resources. I alone am running a single campaign, but I have 6 different documents that I have to reference at any given moment. And most platforms, like Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, they reward engagement, not quite creativity. I'm going to try and make Metaverse encourage creativity over engagement. Basically, what all of this means is I intend to make this site as creator friendly as possible. I don't want to exploit users for the sole sake of immediate profits. I want to look in the long haul, and in the long haul, I want to make a website that's as enjoyable and positive an experience as possible for users. Game masters usually must use a ton of different resources to make their own setting, and I want to help with that. That's why I've built Metaverse, is to help with that issue. And I want you to help too, by providing more sources for people to gather. But here are the issues. The biggest issue I have had, and this is actually still ongoing, is determining what system was best suited for a social media site. This is a technical issue. A lot of social media sites are built off of Ruby. I didn't want to do Ruby. I wanted to do a more modern system. So to that end, I have been trying to figure out if I wanted to use a JavaScript base or a Python base. And that differentiates how I treat certain things. A Flask app is a Python-based program. Node.js and StrapI are both JavaScript programs. I did not mention this, but I have familiarity with all of these programs, all of these types. I have, in fact, familiarity with Flask's Wagtail, which is a fantastic resource. And the reason I have to decide between these is a matter of design methodology. Basically, um, they treat information differently. Um, I'm really on the side of Flask apps right now because of how simple it is to set up and how powerful it is. Um, but I still have to really work out the pros and cons of that. Um, an issue that I've solved, though, is how many technologies I've learned. I've learned C Sharp, Python, and JavaScript during this class. Well, the Python I learned during this class, and the JavaScript I learned during this class, and the C Sharp. Ignore all that. Basically, technically, I didn't learn them, but I perfected the server side portion of them. I had vague familiarity with Python beforehand. I had vague familiarity with JavaScript beforehand. I had vague familiarity with C Sharp beforehand. But now I know how to build servers with .NET, with Node.js, with Flask, etc. And the final issue that was really interesting was one of time. I had to juggle school, friendships, hobbies, and this project, but I've managed to do it, at least this far. I've been working a lot on the technical aspect of this, um, because I am under the um, mindset that if you can figure out the technical side, the design part is going to be far easier to handle. To that end, I have some light wireframes to show. So this is the basics of the wireframe for the login page. Um, Now there's a lot going on here. As you can see, there is the user email, the user password, browser's guest, login, or sign up. Um, so this presents a very interesting thing. The browser's guest option. I have to make it so that you don't have to be a part of the site to use the site. You have to be a part of the site to use the site in such a way that you can customize it in a way that you want. And that's the goal of Browser's Guest. Nothing is saved on there, nothing is, you're following everybody, so once it hits such a extent that um, that you're just, following people, that posts are just streaming by, it won't really be um, usable, um, because anytime that you refresh the page, you're 30 pages up from where you need to be. And this is also the most important site page on the site because it needs to show what is needed, what it is, in such a way that it makes the user want it, which is fantastic and very necessary. This is the world page, and no, it's not an actual planet. I use world as shorthand for setting. Um, so, as you can see, there's the world description and other pertinent stuff. Basically, that would be stuff that um, another user, the person who made this page, has already put in, along with their world-specific navigation and stuff like that. And then there's the navigation itself, um, which is always there to get you back to your home and stuff like that. Then there's the extra important stuff, which are linked pages that aren't world specific. So for example, Fate SRD is this type of system that can be used in the Fate world. And that would be what I would use. This is the coolest page. So this is the page creation page. It's a mouthful, I know. But this, but page has actually gone under a bunch of different names. So it was content, it was page, it was character. Um, all of these didn't feel right because if it was character, what if I want to make a location and link that important location? Well, now there has to be a location. Or I, make a character include locations. But people are going to get confused by that. Um, so in the end, I settled on pages, taking a page out of WordPress. Um, and this shows the content creator page and the content creation page after interacting with the preview. So before, if you notice, it just shows the preview of the post's appearance, settings for other stuff that would be useful that for a person who's making this post, and navigation. But when you click on it, it shows up with various different block types that you can then snap into place as a WYSIWYG. The WYSIWYG has been very difficult to code, but I've been doing a lot of research on it. In conclusion, I've learned an exorbitant amount about social media, and all of it spurs me forward into the future. All the disgusting practices or the cool ideas that have been wasted on a frankly harmful site. I have shown you the concerns over our current social media. I've shown you why Metaverse is needed. I've prevailed over the many technical issues. I have just the design issues left. I've built a bunch of mock pages, and I will work on this. I hope by next year, you join me again. This time, it'll be on Metaverse. Thank you for your time. And if you're interested, you can follow me at Metaverse Dev, my Twitter, for updates on how Metaverse is going. And if you're a programmer, I have my code on Falorad/Metaverse up on GitHub. If you want to fork it and suggest stuff, that would be great too. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.